What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Throw Big, Throw Far podcast, video edition, I guess I should say. Number two, if you watched recently, Mac Wilkins and I got into a discussion that just needed a visual. And so, despite it being a podcast, we stayed on afterwards and recorded some demos and shared some video. And if you're listening to the podcast regularly, we don't usually have these little video segments, but if you're a YouTube regular to the Throw Big, Throw Far Madison Throws Club YouTube channel, I've got a very specific treat for you today. David Storl was on the Throw Big, Throw Far podcast, episode 95. If you missed it, go back and actually episode 94, I should say. Go back and listen. He's one of the last great male gliding shot putters, and maybe we won't see another 22-meter gliding shot putter. Who knows? History will tell us that. But we had a great discussion about his journey as a thrower and his technique, and you should go back and listen to that episode. But afterwards, I asked him, "Hey, will you break down your technique?" I do not like to talk about, especially professional throwers' technique and put it out there into the universe just because I'm not their coach and I'm not sure what they're working on. I can look at technique and surmise what I would be working on or how I would approach it, but there are many ways to get to the right answer. And so to hear directly from David Storl what he's trying to accomplish with his glide technique was fantastic for me. And like I said, there are many ways to do this. This is how David has found the path for his body to work most efficiently and throw extremely far from the glide. And so I'm hoping you watching and listening to David today will help, and I really appreciate you watching. The video will start in 1 second. Check out our sponsors of the podcast. And again, if you don't listen to the podcast regularly, you can get the Throw Big, Throw Far podcast everywhere podcasts are available. We put out a new episode every Monday. We put out a Tip Tuesday most Tuesdays, and we would love for you to join us in that community. If you need help from me this season, video analysis and so much more, go to throwbigthrowfar.com for throwers and coaches who want to get better. The Throw Big, Throw Far podcast is brought to you by PortaCircle. PortaCircle, making training more accessible. Roadie Sport, shop with gloves, wristbands, wrist wraps, and so much more. Go to roadiesport.com. Velasa, innovative footwear for Olympic athletes. Check out Velasa throwing shoes and their lifting shoes. MF Athletic, everything track and field. And the Wall Shot, train to win.
Yeah, no, just start the video, I think.
Where's this again?
It's in Biberach. It's a small German town in the south of Germany, and it's absolutely great meeting. I will send you some pictures of it. And can you stop at the starting?
I sure can.
That's exactly what I'm talking about at the podcast. And can you do a little bit forward? Now I'm up, and now I go down. Sorry, the hip is falling.
Yeah, there's a little diagonal there.
Yeah, the hip is falling a little bit to the front, and then I just starting a little bit too late to put the pressure in the back from the circle.
Do you find that when you go? Sorry, I didn't go back far enough. When you cut that corner off and don't get quite down to the bottom before you start going across the ring, I think you said this, but do you find that you then go up a little bit instead of staying lower and you lose some power there? Is that what you were trying to get at before?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, when you fall down, the right leg started what's the name, to become straight.
Yep.
And then when it's doing this, the pressure goes to the top. It goes up, and you do not produce so many speeds to the front of the circle.
So do you have a cue that when this is going well and you don't cut that corner off, is there something in training that you think, is it a timing? Is it more timing, or is it feel? How do you get that so you're patient enough to not cut that corner off?
I think it's a mix of everything. Yeah, when I'm when I'm nervous, when I knew I'm in a good shape and I want to throw far, I started falling down to the throw because I want to put everything in the shot, in the throw, and sometimes I'm too nervous to realize a good starting movement, and that's the reason why I'm falling down to the front. And one reason of this mistake at the starting is the position in the middle, the power position, because the right knee is a little bit back. Yeah, a little bit more back. Stop now. A little bit more. Yeah, you see it now. The right leg is the right knee is over the toes. The toes? Yeah. And the shot is behind this, but when the opening part is better, the knee is behind the toes and the shot is more in the back of the circle.
Sure.
And
So
then
looking for that toe to be back behind, out even further from the toe, and then the shot further out from the knee and hip.
Yeah, and then you
more
can
ideal.
Yeah, you can accelerate more because you have more way to go. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, you got more room to accelerate the shot once you're in power position if the ball isn't sneaking towards the toe board. What can you talk a little bit about your left arm? When I see you pull this in pretty tight, almost to your chest, and then
to be
yeah, is
to
that
be true? To be true, I don't think about my left arm.
Thank you. Cool. Because I know that there are some throwers who it's a really big deal, and then I've heard many throwers say exactly what you just said: is I don't really think about the left arm.
When I'm starting thinking about my left arm, I become slower, and I need the speed. I just try to be relaxed and not so stiff at the upper body. I want to relax and flexible. I want to be relaxed and flexible in the upper body, because in the power position, the hip is rotating to the right. Now it starts rotating, and the upper body has to be relaxed. So then you can twist the hip and the upper body, you know, and then you can accelerate explosive at the shot, and that's why it's so difficult to realize a good glide.
David, before we had a conversation about the relationship between the left foot and let's see if I can get back there. So the left foot and when it comes down,
yeah,
and your right foot grounding out first, and then the left coming down slightly later. Can you talk about the importance of that for you?
Yeah, sure. In my opinion, the right foot has to be come down first, and the left foot it's a gap of time between 0.1 and 0.15 seconds between the right and the left leg comes down. And the reason why it's so important for me is when the right leg is come down in the middle, it's the hip is rotating, and the pressure out of the right foot is pushing down the left to the toe board. Yeah, you understand?
Yeah. So as the right rotates, almost like pushing the right knee hip into the left to get some pressure into the left side.
That's right. You have to be stiff in this moment. Yeah, the right knee has to be stiff and put all the speed from the gliding and from the gliding into a rotation of the hip, and that knocks down the left leg to the toe board. Yeah, it's a small gap of time. It's how is that 0.1, 0.15 seconds in my my technical model. And yeah, that's a small gap, but
But
it's
an important
important
one.
to it's important to use the speed from the glide in the direction of throw. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the reverse and the non-reverse? I've seen you take throws where you have more of a reverse than in this particular throw, where maybe it's not, you're not jumping off the ground, but the right might come up to the toe board. You might pull the left out afterwards, where this feels
Yeah.
very non-reverse, a
Yeah,
lot of bracing on the
it's a
left side.
non-reverse. It's a non-reverse because it was 2015 and I had massive problems this year with my
The
left
knee.
knee. Yeah, with my left knee, and I can't reverse in this year. But I think you can realize half a meter or 1 meter more with a good reverse to comparing to non-reverse. Because you can use the speed from the glide. You can use the speed more for a good acceleration. Yeah, and it's just a harder movement from the hip, and it's a better use of the speed.
When you train, I'm guessing you take non-reverse throws when your knee is up to it. I'm assuming that we're taking some throws with reverse. What are you trying to get out of your non-reverse throws, or what are you trying to learn in those throws versus your throws with reverse in preparation for throwing with reverse in meets?
I do not throw with the reverse very much in training, because for a good reverse, I have to be in an absolutely good shape, because you need to be fast and stiff at the maximum. And usually I'm just reverse in the last 2 or 3 weeks for the competitions, before the competitions will start. In periods like now, when I'm do a lot of gym sessions and heavy shots, I'm not fast enough for effective reverse throw. Yeah, that's the reason why I'm not do the reverse so much.
Everything is non-reverse, especially when you're throwing heavy.
Yeah, that's right. And when you're in a good shape and when you feel good, you're recovered good from a hard training session, then you can reverse 5 or 10 throws, I think. But it's very, very hard. It's very hard to do a reverse when you're not fast, you know.
No doubt.
You realize a lot of mistakes in your technique, and you will have more problems when you try to reverse, but you're not in a good shape.
Yeah, there's more variables.
Yeah, I think so.
In the podcast, David, you said, I asked, when you're throwing well, you need to do this, and that usually is kind of a good equation for there's going to be a good result. And you talked about this start position. Is there another key that you can give us that you focus on, like, hey, when I'm doing this well, the ball's going well, besides this start position?
Yeah, there's the position when the right foot is landing in the middle of the circle. It's absolutely my focus is absolutely on this point, because the right knee has to be stiff when it's landing in the middle. One more. Yeah, no. The right knee has to be stiff, and the hip has to be on one line. It's not good when the hip or the knee is moving down. You have to put this in one line, and the hip has to move a little bit upwards and not downwards. Now you see the right knee is stiff, and then it goes starts to rotate, and the hip is moving upwards. When it's when you're not in a good shape, or when you're tired, your knee shifting down a little bit, and you lose the pressure and the speed from the gliding part.
It all comes from the ground. If there's not pressure on the ground, it's hard to get that
That's
to
right.
transfer to the ball.
That's right. Yeah. I don't know who's saying this to me. You have to work the ground. You have to work the ground. And when you're tired, you can't do it.
David, thank you so much for sharing your time and taking a look at this video with us and giving some some insights on what it is you're focused on to throw far.
Yeah, it's a pleasure for me too. Yeah.
We wish you the best of luck, and we'll see you a little bit further down the road. All right.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
A big thank you to David Storl for coming on the show and sharing his viewpoint on his own technique. If you haven't liked and subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you get notifications on whenever we put out a new YouTube video. But also go ahead and check out the Throw Big, Throw Far podcast everywhere you listen to podcasts. If you enjoy the show, enjoy the YouTube content, please share it with some other people who would like it. Give us a like, give us a rating, give us a review, give us feedback. We look forward to all those things. Until then, keep training, throw big, throw far.